Let's talk about protein. It's all anybody seems to talk about lately, and for good reason. So many people want to build muscle and support their existing muscle, but getting enough doesn't have to mean eating yet another bland chicken breast at the end of the day to hit your protein goal. Ratio protein yogurt has 25 grams of protein per cup. That's more protein than 4 whole eggs. Not only is it packed with protein, but Ratio protein has a smooth and creamy texture, so there's no need to compromise great taste when hitting your wellness goals, whatever they are. If you like a blend of citrus and sweetness, you might want to try their key lime pie flavor. And get this, Ratio Protein's 25 grams of protein is the most protein per cup in the yogurt aisle, plus 0 added sugar. This helps you get the fuel you need to power through your day. Ratio does the math, so you don't have to. Head to ratiofood.com to find a retailer near you.
If you enjoyed the conversations that Elizabeth and I have here, you might also like the 10% Happier podcast. It's hosted by my good friend Dan Harris, a veteran journalist and best-selling author who explores the same questions I explore in my work. How can we be happier in everyday life? Each week, Dan talks with top scientists, meditation experts, and even the occasional celebrity in wide-ranging conversations that explore topics like productivity, anxiety, enlightenment, psychedelics, and relationships. He's interviewed everyone from the Dalai Lama to Brené Brown to Mike D from the Beastie Boys. Join Dan every week for a dose of ancient wisdom, modern science, and a little humor to help you feel better, do better, and be better. The 10% Happier podcast. Listen now where you get your podcasts.
Lemonada.
I'm Gretchen Rubin, and this is A Little Happier. One of my favorite secrets of adulthood is flawed can be more perfect than perfection. For instance, when we watch someone do something precisely and perfectly, a ballet dancer, an acrobat, a basketball player, we become more interested when we get to witness an obvious mistake. The misstep holds people's interest and reminds them of just how demanding this activity is. For this reason, an accomplished juggler will often deliberately drop a prop. An interesting illustration of this secret of adulthood comes from the life of Winston Churchill. I wrote a short, unconventional biography of Winston Churchill called 40 Ways to Look at Winston Churchill. What a joy it was to work on that book. What a life. What a subject. Churchill is justly celebrated for his extraordinary speeches, and he spent an enormous amount of time writing and rehearsing them. Early in his career, he'd been humiliated when he blanked out during a speech, and he made a point always to be very well prepared. In his biography, The Last Lion, William Manchester notes that although Churchill's speeches were written in advance and with a great deal of attention to every word, Churchill gave himself stage directions such as pause, grope for word, or stammer, correct self, to give the impression he was extemporizing. Churchill knew that an imperfect speech would be more persuasive and moving than a perfect speech. And like the juggler, he chose to make his performance better by making it worse. Flawed can be more perfect than perfection. I'm Gretchen Rubin, and I hope this makes your week a little happier. From the Onward Project.
Hi, Gretchen, Craig Robinson, and my little sister Michelle here. We host a new podcast called IMO with Michelle Obama and Craig Robinson. We know you're the queen of giving advice, so we wanted to get a few tips from you.
You know, Gretchen, a lot of our listeners are going through some major life changes. What advice do you have for folks who are trying to stay grounded in the midst of major life transitions?
Craig and Michelle, I am so happy to be talking to you. Here are a few questions that might help us gain perspective. So consider questions like this. What activities take up my time but are not particularly useful or stimulating for me? Do I spend a lot of time on something that's important to someone else but is not very important to me? If I could magically change one habit in my life, what would I choose? And here's a question. Would I like to have more time in solitude, restorative solitude, or would I like to have more time with friends? Just thinking about questions like this can help us start to figure out how we might make our lives happier. With greater self-knowledge, we're better able to make hard decisions that reflect ourselves, our own nature, our own interests, our own values. In my own case, I have found that the more my life reflects my nature, the happier I get, and the more grounded I feel when I'm going through a period of major change or transition. For more great advice, search for IMO with Michelle Obama and Craig Robinson wherever you get podcasts. You can listen to Issa Rae on letting go of certain friendships, Kiki Palmer on why disappointment is actually the key to career success, Seth and Lauren Rogan on caring for aging parents, and so many more.